Now on this question and answer video, this is volume 14, and these are proven to be more popular than I thought they were, where they would be in the beginning. We try to answer questions that have come in on the channel on the comments section. So if you have a question, put it in the comments section. I'll try to answer it on a future video. We do try to share information sent in by other people, tips, tricks, things that may help you enjoy and share your passion for motorcycling with your friends. It's basically for street bike riding, although every once in a while something will come in for dirt bikes or carbon fiber or technical things like rebuilding carburetors, but we never know what's coming in. Every one of these question and answer videos just a little bit different. They're fun to do, and I've managed to make a few new friends this way, and people, I think we've shared some good quality information along the way. So as always, the purpose of our channel is to share useful information, in this case about painting, about motorcycling, sometime about carbon fiber, and sometimes just a funny story here and there or something to share. So in the world of motorcycling, there's a lot of little niches and a lot of little funny stories and a lot of things you wish you knew before you bought that type of thing. That's what we try to use our channel for. And we hope you do enjoy this presentation, of course. So the first thing before I even start answering questions, I want to congratulate both Ray and Luciano, who have added bikes to their collection. In Ray's case, he's got a second Kawasaki 400. He now has one of the upright bikes and a Ninja. And Luciano has a 1200cc Bandit now added to his collection. And we'll hopefully have pictures of those very soon. Now, I always like to include my friends right at the beginning here. Stefan in Romania did a great track day, sent me a bunch of pictures of his track day, and it looks like he is having the time of his life. He had a surprise he didn't want to share on this video, probably on the next one or on the normal channel videos. He's got another bike, or he's going to get another bike, but he won't tell me what it is. But since he's doing track days, I'm wondering what he's got. Anyway, the reason he's sharing the information, and I'm so happy that he shared this, he's done the repair. We've done it on a previous video. One of the previous videos, we patched a Pirelli Angel. We put the modern thing from AutoZone, the plug kit. They call it the rope kit. Or he calls it the rope kit anyway. And Stefan said he's done it many times and he's never had a problem. And I've heard that from other people. So I'm thinking, maybe we've salvaged that tire. I don't know. And since I can't get tires now, it's just crazy. I'm still waiting for the tire for my RD. It seems like we're in a whole different world of people. They've accepted the fact that the world's just going downhill. I don't know. But anyway, the whole thing here, and I guess Romania too, the whole thing, I'm going to share the pictures of Stefan in Romania doing track days, and he looks like he's really having a good time. So Stefan, thank you for sharing, and this of course is a Michelin. This is a special road race tire, and it looks like he's really tearing it up too, and I really do appreciate the pictures. Just look how nice this track is. Now I think, unless I'm wrong, this is the track that's in Transylvania, but I'm not sure. And of course Stefan is the one in black here. Now because he's getting a new bike, and that's one of the typical things that happens when you have a dedicated track bike. You want a street bike that's dedicated to the street, a track bike with nice soft tires on it, and of course in the best of all worlds you have them both. But he's getting another new bike, and I can't wait to hear what he's got. Now I look back at all of the pictures I have of the track days that I've done with Luciano and with other people and with Chris, and oh my God, with the A-Team and with Glenn and everybody. These sometimes become, in reality, years later, many years later, these become the memories that you treasure forever. Now Scott, who we have a dedicated video of Scott's RZ restoration previously, maybe a couple weeks ago, and again on our channel, anytime you want to search out a subject, you put my name in quotation marks, and then the subject, in this case RZ, or carbon fiber, or paint, or fairing repair. And up will come the videos. I know some people don't really know how to search a channel, but that's the way I search it anyway. But anyway, Scott asked me a question that I know everybody has a different answer to this. And I guess it's a good thing to think about it. He said, why don't you compare an RD and an RZ? Well, here's the comparison I have. I've had RDs my whole life. I've had, in the 70s, I've had 7 of them. I had raced them for 6 or 7 years. One of them still exists in Florida. One of them still exists in my garage. One that I bought recently. Oh, my lovely wife Karen, got it for me for Valentine's Day, maybe 10 years ago. But anyway, the whole point is I have a lot of RD experience, no experience with RZs. And when I don't have hands-on real-life experience, it's pointless for me to try to compare them. I mean, I've ridden with people like Dale that have an RZ, and they seem pretty similar, but I know the RZ is a little more modern, probably has a little bit tighter clearances on the cylinders and this, that, or the other thing. But for all purposes, they're both very cool bikes. And the answer, Scott, the real answer is, if you need to compare both of them, buy one of each. And that's an answer I wish I could answer. I wish I could go out to my garage now and have one of each. Doesn't always work out that way for me, but I try. And I try not to share information that I don't know firsthand is pretty good quality information. And we did make a dedicated video of Scott's restoration. We went for a little ride, shot some run-bys. It was a lot of fun. And it's on our channel, of course. And here's Scott, and I want to congratulate him on a really nice, clean, that is a whistle clean, super clean restoration. Now, speaking of two-strokes, and I've done this already on a previous video, we do post a video almost every day. I had a really neat, this is my funny story of the day, a comment from Matt and Sarah in the United Kingdom. Now, the UK and England, I went through that YouTube video of how do you divide it up and how do you measure it, and it's a pretty interesting video. But anyway, UK, so I don't know. I don't know exactly where he's living. And Matt, if you want to share that information or a few pictures, feel free to send them in. He has an RD. And he wanted me to give him a shout out. Well, here's your shout out, Matt. I've done it twice now. And I know that's a young person thing. And because I'm going to be 77 not long from now, I'm not familiar with the rules of engagement with young people, but I know some of them are not exactly the same as I do. I can't imagine, as a funny thing, just a story. I was in England. This is a true story. I was in England twice doing seminars, model airplane seminars. And this is really funny. Let me just cross this off. And we're riding to the York Museum, the train museum, and Karen and I are in the car, riding on the wrong side of the road, and and I see a bunch of motorcycles coming up. Wow! Wow, a big bike gang. Wow, this is pretty cool. English bike gang. As they pass me, and they're all cafe racers and Nortons and all kind of cool stuff. I had no idea where they're going, but they passed going a lot faster than we were going. And I looked, every one of them had a ponytail. And I know I've told this story before. And I said to Karen, I said, wow, I didn't know that many women, ride motorcycles in England. What do I know, I know they ride in the United States, but I didn't know that many women in ponytails hanging out. And we get to the York Train Museum. Of course, the bike group had already been there, parked the bikes, and gone inside the museum. Well, the York Train Museum, by the way, is a very cool place. And here's the coolest thing. I looked at the helmets on the ground. The ponytails were still in the helmets. And I said, wow. Now see, that's a young person thing. They caught me off guard. I didn't know that was a cool thing in England years ago. Matt, if it is, shoot me an email. The same thing with younger people. I have people from commenting on the video, your mirrors are too big. This is not right. This isn't custom enough. And then some people, and I think it's the majority, they absolutely love my custom MT-09. Figure it out. Now, a good question, and not even a question, it's a good tip. We've heard from this gentleman before, his handle is stuck in the 80s, and I got it wrong. See, I got this wrong. The comment that he left, I misunderstood because basically, let's face it, I'm not Einstein. But what happened is, I had shared a tip on one of the videos of drying a bike after it rains with compressed air. My compressor, and it goes pretty quickly. Ray then had responded to me in when we had a phone conversation. He says, even better than that, use a leaf blower. And of course, if you leave the water on, you're just inviting rust and corrosion. And you're not doing a bike any favor, trust me. Water is a bike's worst enemy, period. So anyway, stuck in the 80s, I thought from the comment he said that he used a hairdryer. And I thought, well, okay, yeah, I put one hairdryer in each hand. Especially if you live in Canada and it's cold, maybe you could, I don't know. But the whole point is then he corrected me. He has a hot air mover. Now, I don't know what that is, a hot air mover. That's designed to dry dogs. How can you make this up? Anyway, stuck in the 80s, and I consider myself stuck in the 40s here. Don't forget, I was born the day World War II ended. Figure that out. Anyway. And that is absolutely true. I was born the day World War II ended. So anytime I have to show my ID card because they think I'm under 18, well, you can figure that out. Model airplanes and motorcycles, all these years. Anyway, a good question, a paint question from Adam. He wants to he has a part. This is a good thing that I've done many times. It's a metal part. I assume it's metal. I'm sure he wants to polish it. Anyway, sometimes I get these questions a little screwy because I write them down on a daily basis. But here's what happened. If you have a paint, especially factory paint, and there's metal underneath it, now you don't want to put sanding scratches in it. You're not going to repaint it. You just want to polish it. It's easier to polish the paint right off the part. Now, next time I have a part that, and there'll be a time coming up very soon, we're going to start restoring motorcycles again. And what happens is now the paint's going to disappear. You're going to be into the metal. Now you've got to use rough compound, medium, and smooth, and then buff it right at the end. And you're going to have a very highly polished, especially if it's aluminum, it's going to come out beautiful. But he wanted to know if that was a good idea. And I said, well, the only thing I think that would not be a good idea there is to get some really gritty, rough, like DuPont red compound. I don't know. And if you have a buffing wheel, if it's a part you can use with a little hand buffer, just buff away. It can't go wrong. And maybe what will happen is you'll have to do some little edges or corners by hand. But again, still better. Now, an even better choice, and this is why I like to answer these questions, an even better choice, if you have a painted part and it's metal now, not plastic, and you want to polish the metal but take the paint off without scratching it, use paint remover. Some paint, old paint, will come off with acetone. If you have old lacquer, old acrylic lacquer, acetone will take it right off. Paint remover, ordinary, now the paint remover I use, I get at Lowe's. They make several grades. They're all good, but the best one is always aircraft stripper. Aircraft stripper, and wear the gloves you use to do dishes. I've done it on video many times. It works perfectly. But then what happens is you've removed all the paint, and now you can buff the part at a buffing wheel, or a hand buffer, or however, whatever finish you want to put on it at that time. And that's my best information, Adam. The best I could think of how to do it. That if I had to do it, that's how I would do it. Now here's some really useful information I've learned over many, many years of polishing Japanese motorcycles, especially. My GS and my RD fit into this niche. Forks, side covers, back foot pegs. When Suzuki polished these parts at the factory, they coated them with some kind of a coating like an epoxy, clear epoxy. And for many, many years I have tried to come out with something that would take care of that. I've been unable to figure out anything, any chemical way of getting it off. No paint remover I've ever used has been able to take that clear coating off. But if you take sandpaper, and usually you can start with maybe 1500 grit, if you don't mind doing a labor, even finer grit, you can sand it off. And that leaves a minimum amount of scratches in the aluminum, and then you can go right to the buffing wheel and get those scratches out. Now, there's a lot of polished parts on my GS that don't come from the factory, and a lot of people think I did it. It's believe me, a labor of love. Now, this was something I made a dedicated video of about a week ago, and I got super nice response to. In the summer, at least in our part of the country, almost everybody has a mesh jacket. The black ones, they're good, but they get a lot hotter than the light colored ones. And I had both. And I always noticed the light color ones were a lot cooler on today is a really hot day, in fact. So I had spoken to Jerry, and Jerry always looks like he came out of a GQ magazine. Of course, I look like I came out of a Farmer's Weekly. And I said, how do you get this clean? He said, oh, just put it in a washing machine. Well, yeah, on my jackets, and I showed him the tag. In fact, it says, "Do not wash, do not dry clean, do not." It's like when you buy a pillow. Do not remove this tag, or you go right to hell. Well, I said, well, the things were so dirty and gritty. I said, that's it. I'm going to just be done with it. So Karen had, and I don't remember if Karen had suggested or if it was Jerry, said put it in with laundry detergent and OxyClean. I'll try it. I did it on pans. In fact, I won't go on with this for too long because there's a dedicated video of maybe a week ago. But anyway, I was so happy because it came out absolutely as clean as brand new. Then I went and did a test, and I put the black jacket, and it's all on video, and the silver one, gray one, whatever call, and it was 20 degrees cooler, the light colored one, and with a Craftsman laser temperature thing is really accurate, really, to within 1 degree. I put them out there, and I said 20 degrees, that just the color of the jacket, 20 degrees, is a big thing. So anyway, that OxyClean, and I'll just summarize what's on the video. Take the armor out, put the jacket in the laundry, and of course if you have anything in the pockets, any $1,000 bills or anything, guns or whatever that could get hurt with the water, and then put it in on hot water. This is what I did. And the first thing I did, I washed it with 1 scoop of all laundry detergent. Then I put 2 scoops in, and then I put 2 scoops and a scoop of OxyClean, and that cleaned it like brand new. And it's all on the video. That's it. Well, again, it's all of these things that I have. There's almost 2,500 videos now out there altogether. I didn't want to forget to thank Joe Roselli, who did the light painting video. That's on. It's on our channel about a week ago, maybe a little more. And he did a beautiful demo where you take the photo. These photos are taken in total darkness. Pretty interesting if you're interested in such things. Now, not long ago, probably a week ago, I went out with the GoPro. I have 2 of them, and thank you, Najat, who donated them to our cause. And I took video of the ride, which I do. I share the rides with my friends, and maybe with you even. And what happened, I'm riding, and in the middle of the video, the streets started turning green. Then they got really green, and then the houses turned green. I had no idea, but I posted it to show people. Maybe this happened to you, but there's a cure for it. Now, Oscar, who's a professional, and thank you, Oscar, for the wind slayer that's on the Canon camera. That, by the way, is a good tip, and that's already on the previous videos. So Oscar, and again, keep in mind, Oscar's a professional. He's not fumbling around like I am to try to get this camera information. He thought it was a bad sensor in the GoPro. Well, okay, I have no way of diagnosing that or checking it, but I did find a thing that worked for me on that camera, and it's a GoPro 3. What I did, I reset all the defaults, and I went and bought brand new batteries. And the combination of resetting the defaults, putting a brand new battery in, not one that's just full right at the end of its life cycle. Now, what happened is I have to then put all my settings in. I shoot on 1080 and on medium, and Pro Tunes on. When those settings are in, I said, I'll go out and try it. So what I did, I took both cameras out, and I shot half of the ride and half of the ride, and they're both exactly the same again. So, but that worked. Now, I did a little homework on this with people I don't know how much they know. See, this is the problem. And everybody that I know knows about cameras. Joe Roselli's an expert, and Oscar certainly is. But I don't know if anybody is an expert. But they sent in some information to me that when the battery gets on its low side, low, some of the things in the camera don't work properly. So maybe this battery wasn't putting out the right juice, but the new battery and resetting everything cured the problem. And that's important to know before you run out and spend whatever these GoPros are now. And I'm sure they're not nice. Like when I started shooting these videos, I bought nothing but the $19 cameras. And I'd buy 2 or 3 at a time. Sometime they'd work good. Sometime one would last for a year probably. But then something would go bad and you just buy another one. But these cameras are expensive. So that technology, now that I'm using real GoPros and the Wind Slayer, a real GoPro Wind Slayer, and on a Canon, that little thing that we got from Oscar, and that's all on previous videos. Now, whether it's motorcycling or family or going out like we went to a black and gray Honda, I do always take a lot of pictures, and I always like to work on my photography skills in daylight and in subdued light. Now, Prince, he sent in a nice comment on the video, and thank you for all the people, even the people that put negative comments. I try to learn from them, try to pick up some good information to make the videos better in the future. And he reminded me of something that, boy, he put a memory that I had almost forgotten. He was saying in the Texas summer, it's brutal. He hasn't ridden. He has a GS. He hasn't ridden it in 3 months. It's so hot. You know what? I've been in Texas in the summer. I've been in the Houston area. 4 years in a row I went to Houston for model airplane championships that they had down there. And what had happened is I was introduced to how hot can a human being stand. And I understand. And a few people I knew that rode motorcycles back then said, oh, we only ride at night. And I was thinking, oh boy, I don't know about that. But anyway, I've heard similar stories from Ray in Florida that they only ride at certain points of the day, and I don't know, but it's brutal though. You can't imagine how hot it gets in Texas until you've been there. And I was there quite a few times. Anyway, Brad, he has an 84 XJ 1100, and he loved the fact you didn't have to rev the engine. It had good low torque and it was comfortable. Now I gotta share a little quick thing. Joe Padula and I are almost daily and go talk back and forth or email each other or whatever. Joe just got his GS 1100 back on the road. He had a lot of little teething problems. It's ready to ride, and I had loaned him my set of spare carburetors. That seemed to cure one of the problems, but he had a little electrical problem somewhere, and I know there was a leak with the tank. He took care of that. But Joe made a great point. He said, and now Joe has more bikes in his collection, Ducatis, BMWs, and everything. He said it was so nice to just get on a bike that doesn't have a big windshield and all the gauges and everything. He said, and to have the wind in your face. And then he said the other thing, and I thought this was pretty funny, he says, I was shocked how fast it was. Well, if you haven't gone back into the 80s, those bikes were geared low, and this is the point I'm making. He figured this out right away, because he rode my GS with the overdrive gearing, 16 in the front, 40 in the back. And that's for my personal choice. That gives up a little bit of acceleration. But in return, the engine is loafing in 7th gear down Route 80. So, Joe, I can't wait for the day we're going to get the two of them together. That should be a lot of fun. And all I can say is, all of these old bikes, the memories they bring back, the fun, and then you start interacting with people that have one, had one. Oh, my friend had one, this and that. I love it. I love it. And thank you for all the people that send in all these wonderful comments about the memories they have of RDs and GSs and the 750R. So many people wrote in that they love the sound of the bike with the Muzzy muffler. And that sound is very unique because it's quiet when the bike is idling. It's quiet up to about 6,000 RPM. And then when you whack it, it just goes bonkers. I don't know how that happens, but it's a very unique thing with that Muzzy muffler. Very cool. I like it anyway. Now, even for all the years this was a track bike, that Muzzy muffler, the sound, I always thought that there was something unique about that combination. That engine and the RPM range it runs in and that muffler, very cool. Speaking, this is turning into a nostalgia video. I don't think there's any carbon fiber questions and only that one paint question, but this is a question, I have heard this before. This is really something that it jogged my memory, how much fun these bikes were back in the 80s. A fellow named Randy, and he went on about the comment. Of course, you can read all these comments on the channel. Just go to comments. He has an 83 GS with a lot of mods. This is a bike that's heated up and got racing parts on it and everything. And he says he likes to do these little wheelies. Well, I have friends that like to do wheelies too. And you know, basically it's you ride a bike the way you enjoy it and enjoy every minute of it. Well, he wanted to know if I ever did little wheelies. Well, with the bike. Not with the GS. I don't, because I don't treat it like it's a race bike. I don't treat it like it's a drag bike. I treat it like it's a part of my life that I want to keep forever in as nice condition as possible. And I returned him the message him that I would share the story of wheelies, why I'm not crazy about wheelies on this video. Okay, I'm going to share this story right now. Back in the 70s, if you were racing, and anybody that raced two-strokes would know this to be a fact. If you're racing a bunch of two-strokes coming out of corners, the last thing in the world you want is to have the front wheel come up under full power and with a guy on each side of you. So everything you ever were afraid of back in the day, I think this is in the 70s now, you really weren't looking to do wheelies. Now modern kids, modern people on R6s, and we go to the stunt show at Motorcycle Mall every year, they do stunts that are amazing. They sit on a bike upside down and the stuff that blows my mind. It's a tremendous skill level to do that. I don't have that skill level, but there was a time, and this is the point of the story. There was a time, and I go back, and I'm not saying this to show off or anything. This is just a fact. Back in the 70s, when I had my water buffalo that I made with all Norton parts from England into a cafe racer, it was on the cover of a magazine, and the story was in the magazine. I shared this with a lot of my friends, and I have a copy of the magazine on a wall. Now here's the whole problem. The guy that was doing the magazine article, he wanted to see a picture of me doing a wheelie, and I wasn't crazy about doing wheelies back then. I said, okay. And I went back, and we found a place on the road by Greenwood Lake where it's nice and straight, not too much traffic, and he put up his tripod and whatever. And, okay, yeah, I did a little wheelie. Yeah, cool, okay. Do another one? No, I didn't get that. No, this was before Photoshop. I didn't get that one right. The sun moved. There's a turtle on the road. He had a million excuses, and I wound up all morning, boom, boom. And it was getting hot, and I got full leathers on, and la, la, la. And finally, I get all done, and he says, okay, we got it, we got it, we got it. And what happened on that last shot, because this took over the course of an hour, I had forgotten to put my gloves on. I was so hot. So I got a picture of me, I'll show this too, on the cover of a magazine, that doing a wheelie on my cafe racer with no gloves. So picture, when that magazine came out, imagine how many people harassed me about not wearing gloves. So it's really funny. Here I am, and there's my last wheelie of choice, and no gloves. And I keep this to show you the respect I have. I have one extra copy of the magazine, and of course it's hanging. Guess what? It's hanging in my bathroom here, next to some old worn-out brake discs and other paraphernalia. But that is, I think, a pretty funny story. And believe me, if you have any experience riding two-strokes, especially race-tuned ones that have a very narrow power band, and they surprise the hell out of you when the front wheel comes up. I never had a big love of wheelies, but I know modern bikes, of course the MT-09 is one example. If you shut the traction control off, you can do wheelies going 2 miles an hour, and you can do them going 100 miles an hour. It's just whatever you feel like doing. This is a great comment. Henry, I am impressed with this. Trust me, I'm a hard man to impress sometimes. This impressed me. He just got back from riding 8,162 miles on his Moto Guzzi. And he mentioned something that I have said on video. Maybe I've offended people at sometimes. And he said the beauty of his old Moto Guzzi is, and we all have this, it's a subjective thing. Some people like the look of Triumphs and Harleys and Nortons, and I myself like RDs and I like the GS. But modern bikes, and the word he used was some of them look like Mr. Potato Head, and I couldn't agree more. There are some bikes that when I look at them, and I know they're very high performance bikes, but I look at something and I go, who designed that? I don't know. Anyway, here's another one from Machete. He has an 82 GS that he got. He rebuilt the carbs many years ago, and he's still riding it today. And I said to him, my comment was, if there ever was a bike worth restoring, if you have an 82 or an 83 GS, 82 and 83 GSs are unique. In fact, they only made them for 2 years, and the styling of it is, to me, even Turbo Steve's bike, this is Turbo Steve's tank, even the styling, they had a German, I don't remember the fellow's name, a German guy that designed the 90S, do the design work. I think it doesn't get any better than that. And some people don't agree. It's subjective, of course. Even the color choice they made on these bikes was just... And Dallas has one that he's had since brand new. And many people that have had them never sell them. There's a reason. They're beautiful. And a lot of people, and I'm one of them, it's very important that a bike is beautiful. It's like a woman or like a car or like a jet plane. I want it to be beautiful. I don't want to have something that looks like Mr. Potato Head. So maybe he's got a politically incorrect point. I don't really know. That's in the eye of the beholder. And this is Dallas's GS. He's out in California. I think it's hard to argue with that. That's a beautiful bike. I don't know. Anyway, the other information Dallas shared recently, and I think it's good information. He has gone to using Avon tires. He had trouble getting some tires too, I do believe, but he's got the Avons, and so does Joe Padula on his GS. I'm very curious. He's got the same durometer I use, and I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. What I'm looking for is the ultimate mileage at the end of when they come off. There's another one, Giron. I hope I'm saying it right, Giron. And he looked at the video of cleaning the jackets, and he said, well, he lives down south, and well, if you live down south and you ride a lot, wow. And he cleaned his stuff in a bucket of water with a brush. And I said, wow. I said, why don't you try that OxyClean and a washing machine, you know. And even if you didn't have a washing machine, go to the laundromat. So what would be the big deal? So, and then the final tip I had, and this is for Brad. Brad was I gave him some ideas about, and he responded he liked all the tips that are on that video of how to ride in hot weather. And I gave him one I forgot to put on the video. I said, there was a time when I was riding, and I was determined to prove I could ride through the summer. I was never going to miss a day because it was too hot. And I was getting up, and this is at the time when Larry DeTore was still alive, the late Larry DeTore. And Larry and I would meet in the park at 6. And it would already be hot. And now he was wearing full leathers and his Ducati, and I'd be wearing whatever I was wearing at the time. And I said, man, he is one tough customer to be wearing full leathers today. Wow. And we'd ride through the park because nobody's there, you're all by yourself. It was wonderful. And then at the end, we'd get up, wind up at the top of Perkins, and I'd take out the back of my jacket, I'd take out a bottle of water and just pour it down my neck. And he said, oh, what a great idea. The next day I see Larry's got a gallon jug on each. And God bless Larry, we love him, he's gone now. And he was carrying 2 gallons of water. He said, wow, you're a smart guy. Well, I had him convinced I was a smart guy anyway. That does work, by the way. Now, speaking of Larry, who was unfortunately killed on a motorcycle, on 106, we all gathered at the spot where his accident happened. And I don't know how many years, Glenn Hansen was the one that organized this and made it come together. And as a good friend to Larry, I think hundreds of people showed up. Here's Larry and his wife and his 2 twin sons. And we collected some money for him and in the process. And it was just, Glenn, I think you did an amazing job. And I'm sure Larry's smiling down from heaven for all the people that supported his wife and his family. Well, we always like to share tire information, and Junkyard Buzzard, that's a nice handle, by the way. He had a nice comment about he just put Michelin 5s on his VFR 800, and he loves them. Well, there's 2 or 3 things about the Michelin 5s that I have come to appreciate. I have had several sets of them. I have them on 2 different bikes now. One is they seem to really outlast the Michelin 2s that they replaced, and they outlast them by quite a bit. And they seem to be grippier, both at the same time. Now, I don't know. I'm still doing the tire test. I'm at about 6,500 miles on the one set of the rear tire. But it seems like they really have some kind of magic there. And supposedly the 6s are even better. So I'm really looking forward to wearing out tires so I can change more tires and spend another X amount of dollars. But it's all beside the point. Now, tires, to me, it may be the most important part of motorcycling if you're going to do any high-performance riding. I had trouble, number one, with my R1 wearing out Michelin 2s, and I love the Michelin 2s, but he'd wear them out in about 3,000 miles, and I would buy tires and tires and tires. I went to Michelin 3s. They were worse. They wore out even faster. So what I did, and it was at Vlad, I want to give Vlad the credit for this, he told me to try the Pirelli Angels. We're not doing track days. These are not track tires. And they're listed as, by the way, at the Pirelli website as sport bike tires. And they're too compound, the GTs. And on the R1, it looks like they're working pretty good. They certainly have enough traction. Traction's not going to be a problem. It's the wear I'm looking for. So that's where we're sitting right now. So I'm really interested, and of course if you pick up a nail, they go flat just like anything else. So I saved the best question for last. This is really wonderful. And I thought, how the hell am I going to answer this? This is from Rick. And he sent me a thing like in I don't know, I don't even know how to answer it. He said, well, I interpreted this to mean like real men ride GS 1100s and they're a great investment. Well, you know, a great investment, I don't know about a great investment. I don't know. You know, I don't know what, I don't sell any motorcycles. So maybe it is worth more than I paid for it, or I don't know. But I never sell them. So, but he added something to it that I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. He said, real men ride GS 1100s, and they're, you know, something to imply that you have to be a real man to ride a GS. I don't know about that. So I'm not going to even comment about that, other than to say, and Rick, I ride with some women, Chris being one, Michelle another one. Chris used to do track days, and she was pretty good. She was so good that I was fixing her bike every couple of weekends. So I know she was pushing it to the limit. Michelle is a real good rider, period. And I don't know what to say if you're really into the real man thing. I'm not. I don't have any tattoos, no scars, no, just a good complexion and a cheap haircut. So, and that seems to work. I don't know, for my wife anyway. Anyway, those are the questions that have come in. I try to answer them honestly and make it entertaining. Hope you've enjoyed it and share some memories of the great life that we've all shared, all of us who share the passion for motorcycling. So no matter what your interest in motorcycling is, or photography, or making carbon parts, or doing track days, or just riding around doing wheelies and riding in the dark, or restoring old motorcycles, what happens is it's all part of the wonderful world of motorcycling, and I have a passion for it. Whether you ride cross country, you go on long rides, you go on destination rides, or you go ride by yourself like I do a lot of times, or you videotape it, or you don't videotape it, you take pictures or you don't, or you want to ride as fast as you can, or you want to enjoy the scenery as much as you can. You love old bikes, you love new bikes. I always try to emphasize to people, and I always try to make it a point, even on a video like this. There is a wonderful world of motorcycling out there, and try to enjoy as many facets of it as you can. It's all good, and we can all be great friends. And thanks so much for supporting the channel, and thanks of course for watching.